this lesson is part of our series just giving an introduction to each of the 4 parts of the listening paper, and we're going to focus on passage 3 in this particular lesson. So let's take a look at what to expect on this part. Passage 3 is much more challenging now than passages 1 and 2 were. A couple reasons for that, but one of the main ones is that passage 3 has an academic focus, and you can expect more advanced vocabulary related to different kinds of academic discussions. Okay, but passage 3 will not be a lecture. It's almost always a few speakers. Okay, so it can be a classroom situation. It could be a student or a few students talking to a professor about something they covered in class. It could be a discussion about a paper and why a student got a particular grade on a paper. It could just be a study session that you overhear, all right? But mostly it's going to be these academic scenarios where you get people talking about subject matter that can be somewhat challenging sometimes. Okay, so that's what makes this passage harder than the others. It's simply the topics are tougher, using more advanced vocabulary, and the element of this discussion among several people can also make it difficult because they go back and forth between different things in their conversation with one another, and that can make it somewhat challenging to follow along sometimes. Now, since this passage can be quite challenging, okay, I think it's important to study for it in a particular way, to prepare and listen to as many things as possible. So if you look down below in the notes below this video, I've pasted some links to resources that you can use in order to study for the kinds of conversations that you can expect in passage 3. You want, again, academically focused sort of discussions, but also other kinds of interactions where several people are talking to one another can work as well. So I've got a few ideas for you down below about passages that are not really IELTS passages. They're not study materials that are directly related to IELTS, okay, but they are good practice. If you're struggling with listening and passage 3 is tough for you, these could be good supplemental materials for you to study in order to prepare for this part of the test. Okay, so check out those links below to give you some additional resources to study for this part of the listening paper. Okay, let's listen to some sample audio from this section to give you a sense of the kinds of things that you can expect to hear for this part of the exam. Okay, so let's just listen to a few moments of a sample recording here.
So, how can passive sonar be used to locate things? Well, I mean, can it locate things?
Well, passive sonar can't really locate objects on its own, but multiple passive devices used collectively can determine triangulation of a sound source. But there are limits to the usefulness of passive sonar. Keep in mind that the ocean is full of thermal layers. An abrupt shift in water temperatures can hurt the performance of less sophisticated devices.
Okay, so that's a portion of a recording from, that's a good example of what you can expect for passage 3, part 3 of the listening test. Okay, common types of questions for this part of the test. Well, matching, sentence completion, and table and summary completion questions are definitely common, so do study those because they pertain to this part of the test. We've got lesson videos for you on all these question types. But really, any question type is possible. Multiple choice, short answer. They really do use a range very often. So it's difficult to predict. But these are common question types you might expect on this part of the test. Okay, so passage 3, a difficult discussion related to some kind of academic topic is what to listen for and what to prepare for as you think about part 3 of the listening paper.